Hello there, Lexophiles, Quillophiles, and Bibliophiles. I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year. 2026 is got to be a lot better than 2025, so let's hold that thought going forward. First thing I wanted to talk about as I start the show today is pay a little homage to some of the authors we lost this last year. It's always important to remember the people whose work inspired us. And while this is only a partial list, it was some of the people I noticed that stood out the most to me. First on the list is Tom Stoppard. He's a novelist and playwright. Most of you probably won't know who he is. But he was one of those people that could take the nuance in a larger piece and find something to write a story about. Most notably, and probably what you might note him for, would be Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. He took the play Hamlet, found two obscure characters in the background, and created an entirely new play based on just those people. He's had other works. I mean, that's not the only thing he had, but that's the one that stands out to me. I can remember seeing the play, and I also watched the movie with Gary Oldman. Fantastic movie. If you can find it, go out there and watch it. You'll laugh. There may be some boring parts to some people, but just the interaction between the two characters was fantastic. Another one we lost is Frederick Forsyth, best known for his political thrillers, and namely, one of the books that set him aside was The Day of the Jackal. Fantastic book. Joseph Wambaugh. This is a man who went from being a New York City police detective to becoming a novelist. And if you haven't heard anything else of his work, The Onion Fields, which is actually a story that's set here in my neck of the woods, Bakersfield. And there was also a movie made about it. I think it was in the early 80s. It wasn't too bad. The book was, as always, better, though. He worked on another book called The Choir Boys and The New Centurions. And if you're into that kind of thing, it's wonderful stuff. He's kind of one of the parents of the true crime genre. So if you like true crime, you kind of have to have a little bit of thanks going his way for making it what it is. While not really an author, more of a screenwriter, David Lynch passed away this last year. He had pieces called The Arrows on Fire and Welcome to Twin Peaks. Both of them were written with another author. I don't remember the names, but they were good. I didn't read The Arrows on Fire, but I did read Welcome to Twin Peaks. And it's okay, especially if you like the TV show, the series, Twin Peaks, and even the newer addition to it that was released later on. There was also some terrific journalists that we lost this last year. Again, I'm not going to go into all of them because when I did the research for this, there was way too many. We would probably do the entire show just on authors we've lost, screenwriters we've lost, and journalists we've lost. But on the top of that list is John Feinstein, Bill Moyers, Susan Strandberg, and Peter Arnett. And like I said, these are just a smattering. There are a lot more out there. So if I missed somebody that you have a particular fondness for, I do apologize. I didn't want this show to be just about all the people we lost over the last year. So moving on. The topic of today's show is the places where we do our craft, where we sit and write. Everybody has a different place that makes their comfort zone when they write. Where we write can be almost as important as what we write. If you're not comfortable where you're doing your work, sometimes the work doesn't come out as good as it possibly could be. You have to feel the place where you're writing. It has to feel good to you. Maybe I'm missaying that, but it has to feel good to you when you're actually doing the writing. For most of us, our writing is at home. We'll pick a place. Some will pick your bedroom. Maybe you have a desk in there. Maybe you're one of those people that can feel comfortable sitting in bed with your laptop on your lap writing. Perhaps you like to sit at the dining room table and write. Or you have one of those little recessed nooks that some houses have now that's got a desk and you can sit there and write. Those always seemed too claustrophobic for me. I need to have a little bit of room around me. Or maybe you like to sit in the living room and write. Sit on the couch, laptop in lap, while somebody else watches TV. Again, that's not something I could ever do, especially when people are home, because invariably there's going to be somebody watching Two and a Half Men or that silly show with the scientists that live together. I can't remember the name of it. I always forget it. Some of us are lucky enough to have a home office. That's where I get to do my work. I have a home office, but even that can be distracting because I have a lot going on here. I have 4 computers running. I have 2 pit bulls that like to come in and whine if they see me getting too busy because I'm not paying enough attention to them. And if you have pit bulls, I'm not going to say own pit bulls because I don't think anybody owns a pit bull. I think at the very best, it's a co-op. At the very least, you kind of are their servants. But anyway, these are great dogs. I love them. But if I look too busy, they come in and decide to become needy and give me the big doe eyes until I do something with them. But not everybody has a home office. Some people like to write in public places like parks or in public spaces. That really depends on where you live and what the parks are like where you live. I'm not familiar with too many parks here in Bakersfield where I would want to sit and do any writing. For the most part, it's just we tend to have a little bit of a homeless issue. And most of our parks have a little bit of a homeless problem, at least the ones that I'm familiar with. If you know of a park that's kind of hidden off to the side and it's really nice, then please drop me a line, let me know. I do like to write outside from time to time simply because it's a really good place to people watch. Cafes. Now, small restaurants and cafes are kind of hit and miss. You'd usually find those places don't have a whole lot of seating. And you got to remember, these places, a lot of the money that the wait staff makes is from tips. So keep that in mind if you go to a cafe and sit down to write. It may be dead there. There may be nobody else. You may be the only one in there. But still, while you're there, they're catering to you. And if you go in and only get a piece of pie and a cup of coffee, you're still taking up their time. And that piece of pie and cup of coffee may set you back $10. But remember them when you leave the tip when you leave. Leave a little extra for them. It's only right, especially since you're taking up their time. I know there's going to be some of you out there that say, well, I shouldn't have to tip any more than I have to. I know one particular person that strictly tips 12%, period, no matter what. Again, I think you have to judge that as you go. Coffee shops. Now, here we go. More and more coffee shops are the place for people to write. In fact, a lot of coffee shops now cater to the writer or to the person who's studying or to the person who's just wants to get together with friends and talk. In Bakersfield, we do have a few of those places that have popped up. For example, downtown, we have a place called Dagny's. And if you have a personal experience at Dagny's, drop me a line. I love to hear about these stories. But I like Dagny's. It's nice. It's very quaint. It's very open. Has windows that look out onto the street. You go there, and if you want to just sit and read and didn't bring a book with you, they have books on shelves that you can just go grab one. You can sit and talk with people because there's always people in there that are willing to chat. And if you want to go and do your writing, they've got plenty of places for that too. And it's locally owned. So the money you spend there, it stays. It's staying in the community. Along the same lines, I just recently learned that Bakersfield has several small, privately owned coffee houses. Most recently, this morning, I decided to try one of them, and that's the Bakersfield Roasting Company on Ash, just south of White Lane. And I was real happy with it. The coffee was wonderful. I had already eaten. I wasn't planning on eating when I got to the coffee shop, but I had already eaten breakfast with my wife, and I got there and ordered my coffee, and I'm looking at the case, and I see a piece of something that looks familiar, and I asked the guy, I said, is that zucchini bread? I have a thing about zucchini bread. And he said it was, and they make it themselves, so I went ahead and grabbed a piece, and if you like zucchini bread, that was some excellent zucchini bread. You could even see the big chunks of zucchini still in it. So I ended up sitting there having my zucchini bread. Again, this is at Bakersfield Roasting Company. And it turns out today they were getting ready to start the roasting process while I was there. So I also got a little bit of a show. I watched the young lady fire up the roasting machine, and about every 15, 20 minutes, she opened the door and dumped out a big thing of freshly roasted coffee beans. and the entire place would just fill with the aroma of this freshly roasted coffee. She'd put it in, or she'd put it off to the side and do it again. So you could say I had kind of a second breakfast, to quote Hobbit vernacular, and a show. It was worth it. I liked it. It was very pleasant in there. Plenty of seating, lots of seating. And the atmosphere was warm and inviting. It is run by a church, but you don't get that feel while you're there. You don't feel, there's stuff around that mentions biblical passages and stuff, but you don't ever get the feeling they're trying to shove it down your throat. And that's important to me. I like to go there and enjoy myself and not feel like I'm being proselytized to. And they don't. They're very obviously open to everybody. So if you're in Bakersfield and you have not given them a try, please do so. It's very, very much worth it. And also from a technical point of view, if you happen to come in there with your laptop to do some work, or a notebook or a tablet to go in there and do some work, they have excellent Wi-Fi. I've been in Starbucks before, and usually the best I get from the Starbucks here in town is maybe 10 megabit. There, I was getting a solid 35 megabit. So you could even sit and watch a movie if you wanted to. That would be a waste of a good place to go, but if you do want to go and write, it's a great place to do it because you have the bandwidth to do it as well. And they even have some seats with plugs nearby. So if you have one of those pesky laptops whose battery doesn't do what it's supposed to do, you can use some of their power. Like I said, there are other places here in town that I want to try. And I encourage you, as the people listening, if you already know of these places, tell me about them. I would like to know more. The places I plan on trying here soon are, I think it's called Blue Oak Roasters, Faith Coffee, Cafe Smitten, Beanie's Coffee, Adventure at Waits Coffee House, and Caffeinato. I'm sure there's more out there that I'm just not mentioning, but you, people out there, can help me by being my eyes and ears. If there's a place in Bakersfield that you recommend, please tell me about it. Tell me what you like and don't like about it. Even if there's a place just outside of Bakersfield, as long as it's not too far of a drive, I'd be willing to go give it a shot and see what it's like, and then write about it, or talk to you about it, getting the word out there. And if by some chance you work at or are the owner of one of these companies and want to tell me some of the stuff about it, I'd be happy to talk to you about it, get an email from you. If you want, I'll even meet you at your place and maybe we can record a session together. It'd be nice to have a guest on. That'd be kind of new for me. So we've talked about the places that might be nice to go to do your writing. Now let's kind of talk about places that maybe you shouldn't go. So the first thing that comes to mind are restaurants, especially the chains. And there are some caveats. There are some exceptions to that. But for obvious reasons that we already mentioned, you don't want to use a restaurant as much. Because again, the waitstaff, part of their income comes from tips. And if the restaurant is dead and you sit there and you're doing your work, it's fine. Do it. But keep in mind, if you're going to spend 3 hours in Denny's writing or doing research or studying, and you're only going to order a salad or a piece of pie and a cup of coffee, be prepared to leave a better tip. And my example there, what I'm coming around to is, when I was studying to finish my degree, I spent quite a bit of time at the Denny's near my house, which is like 3/4 of a mile away. And it's a great place. We go there so often, we know almost all the people that work there. I spent so much time there that sometimes I'd go there and sit for 2.5, 3. I was there for 4 hours one time, and all I ordered was a salad and a Coke. And it came to maybe, $15. But on the nights that I'd spend that much time there, because I know that they keep me on their radar and they keep coming back to check on me and make sure I'm not in need, I must have left maybe a $30, $35 bill. I paid that much with the extra tip and everything, because it felt right. Like I said, I'm taking up their time. Even if the place was dead, empty, I was the only place in there, I'm still taking up their time and occupying a table. So in general, I would say best avoid places like restaurants unless you plan on leaving larger tips. Also, busy places you know that are high traffic areas. If you've got a place that's near your house, and we also have one of these places, it's kind of a truck stop, you go in there and the tables are almost always filled with people eating. Don't go in there with your laptop, set up camp, and occupy valuable space, because As long as you're eating, that's fine. But the moment you stop eating, pack up your stuff and leave. Let the next person have a chance. And again, if you do spend too much time there, leave a good tip. It's only right. Even if the person just is not the best waiter or waitress in the world, they got a hard job. Leave a good tip. Libraries, here your experience may vary. Our libraries here in Bakersfield are hit and miss. They are improving. So if you're in Bakersfield and you work for one of the libraries, I understand. You guys are improving. But there for a while, it was hard getting anything done in them. And the one downtown even had this rule for a while where they wouldn't let you bring your own laptop in, which I never understood that. Bars. Do I need to explain this one? I mean, unless you're really good friends with the owner of the bar or you own the bar, don't take your laptop in a bar and sit down and start writing. You're just going to open yourself up to ridicule, people giving you a hard time. I mean, I've never seen a person sit in a bar with a laptop, but there's a first for everything, and I'm sure it's happened. Now, on the other side of the coin, let's go back to the reading side of the coin. A lot of the places I've already talked about are great places to read. Again, libraries. Here we go. I mean, why were libraries made? They're a place to read, and you have books to choose from where you don't have to go buy them. You may not find it again if you didn't finish it, and you're going back in, and you haven't checked it out. But they're a good, quiet place to sit and read. And in some cases, libraries have a lot of nice places to sit, comfortable chairs. Coffee shops, again, let's talk about Dagny's again. Dagny's has books there. So if you go there and you forget to bring a book, they got you covered. They've got magazines. I think they had newspapers there one time. They have board games. So if you're really bored and you see somebody sitting there that also looks really bored, grab a board game and drag them over and make them play with you. Just not Monopoly. You'll never get out of there. I remember when I was in San Diego years and years and years ago, and if you're from San Diego and you know the place I'm talking about, remind me the name of it, because I don't think it's there anymore. But it was over there, not too far away from the wharf. But it was a 2 or 3 story. The bottom floor was a coffee shop, really nice coffee shop. Sold Danishes, you name it. Had some nice, comfortable chairs down there. But then there was a second story where they had books, both used books and new books that you could buy. Or if you wanted to just sit there and read them, you could. And it was a really nice place. Loved it. And I have always told myself that if I were to own a bookstore someplace, that's the kind of bookstore I would own. First floor is coffee and Danishes, things like that. Maybe nothing fancy. You're not going to get any of your crazy stuff there. But the basics in coffee, some good local Danishes or local pastries, a fireplace, nice comfortable chairs. Second floor, there's going to be a place that has books that are either old or used books that you can buy, or brand new books. And in my case, I'd go one step further and have the third floor be where my wife and I live. But these are dreams. If you want to help support my dream, feel free to send me money. I'm not going to complain. Money is something that, well, I'm not going to beg you. If you want to be a philanthropist and say, throw me a few dollars for funding my dream, I'm not going to complain. But again, if you know the place I'm talking about in San Diego, shoot me an email. You guys already know what the email address is, but if you don't, it's samuel@inkcoffeeandregrets.com. Keep that in mind. Write it down. Tattoo it to your arm. Again, Bakersfield Roasting Company here in town. Great place to sit and read. The other places I mentioned, Blue Oak, Faith Coffee, Cafe Smitten, these all look like they're good places to sit and read, but I haven't been there yet. And as I go to each one of these and try it out and check on it, I'll let you know. And again, if you are one of the people who either works for or owns one of those places, talk to me about it. I'd love to hear from you. Seriously. And if I've missed anything, let me know. Hit me over the head with something. Not literally. I don't do well with that. And as I visit these places, if you're one of the people who owns or works at one of these places, I'm not going to do bash pieces. If I come into your place and I don't like something, I'm not going to throw you guys under the bus. We all have to make a living. I think we all do our best. So I'm not going to throw you under the bus. It's like what I do with when I read your books. If you're a new author and you send me a book to read and then talk about it on the show, it's not a review. I'm just telling people why they should read it. I'm going to tell what I found interesting about it, what I liked about it, but I'm not going to rake you over the coals. I'm not going to beat up your baby. Now, going back to what we were talking about before, Starbucks, and that's Starbucks. There's nothing wrong with Starbucks. If you want to go there to study, you want to go there to write, you want to go to there to read, that's what they're there for. I've never been in a Starbucks that has pushed people out for any of those three things. My only reason for not making them the primary place I would recommend for everybody is the fact that they're not as warm and inviting as some of the locally owned places. Somebody one time told me that Starbucks, when you say, I'm going to open up a Starbucks, they give you like 5 patterns to choose from for your store. And you have to select one of them, and you cannot customize it, as far as I understand. If I'm wrong, tell me. But I was explained to me that you cannot customize it. Those are the patterns you're given. And they're not bad, but they're not warm. They're not inviting. They don't draw you in. They don't feel like someplace you could just sit there. I don't know. I can't think of the right word, but they're just not inviting. But there's nothing wrong with them. They have marginal internet usually. I would say in some cases subpar. The one here by my house, I'm lucky if I can get 5 megabits when I go there. But it's not terrible. So anything you've heard me say before, don't get the feeling that I'm bashing Starbucks. I'm not. So bringing this show to the close, first off, I'd like you to let me know how I did since I didn't use a script. I'm doing this strictly off bullet points, so I'm kind of having to fill in the dead air or the dead air in my mind as I go, which is probably not a bad thing. It gives it more of a fun feel. And I am actually enjoying doing this one more than I've enjoyed doing the other ones in the past. But my call to action to you folks is to tell me your story, your coffee shop stories. Tell me your writing stories out in the wild or even at home. If you've got a funny anecdotal story about something that happened at home or in a coffee shop or whatever, tell me about it. Even if it's not funny, even if it's just sad, angry, whatever, drop me a line. Tell me about your story. If you want me to go ahead and share it on the show, please let me know that as well. If it's something where you want to send me a voice message and I can put that on the show, I'm willing to do that too. This show is partially about me, but also partially about you guys too. Also, if you are on Blue Sky, look me up. I'm Ink Coffee and Regrets, or @ Ink Coffee and Regrets. And the same with Facebook. I'm on Facebook, but I don't spend a whole lot of time on Facebook. I'm not a big Facebook kind of guy. I mean, my personal Facebook account has like 35 people on it. And I've had it open since I think like 2011. So there we are with that. The end of another show. And can you believe it's 2026? I'm trying to figure out where all the last 15 years went with my son. I mean, he's about 3.5 years away from leaving the house. Still not ready for that. But I hope everybody has a great New Year. And I hope that you all had a good New Year's Eve. I hope you didn't party too hard. And if you're listening to this with a hangover, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. But I can give you a recipe for a good hangover cure. And that's take a shot glass, fill it with vodka, put in about 5 or 6 shots of Tabasco, and crush a habanero into it, and then swallow it. I know it sounds gross, but it used to work for me. And on that note, ladies, gentlemen, may your ink splatter like a barista discovering the oat milk pitcher was empty after starting the latte art. May your coffee hit harder than an open mic poet who definitely didn't rehearse his work. And may your regrets be as fleeting as the Wi-Fi signal whenever somebody unplugs the router and says, I want to see what happens. So long, everybody. Have a great one.